Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm winking at you right now.
Is it a God wink?
Is it a God? No, it's not. It's just a regular wink. It's a regular wink.
Or are you just that tired that you can't keep your eyes open?
A little of both, but it's just a hey, baby. Look at that wink.
All right. Focus.
I am focused on that pretty thing sitting across from me. What? No, she didn't like that
Dial
part.
it back.
Dialing it back. God winks. That's what we're talking about to start tonight. And not the regular, hey girl, look at me wink. Whenever you're ready.
I can't take your energy at 9:30 at night.
Well, we were supposed to do this earlier, but life happens.
It does.
Life keeps happening to us.
It does.
Is life ever going to stop happening?
No.
Could we have a weekend?
Do you
where
want it to
doesn't?
stop happening? That means we're...
I'm with Hallie. Okay,
Yeah.
not terrible. I'm just saying, if we could do like a weekend where something bad doesn't happen, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with it. Okay? That's all I'm saying at this point in time. In the
I get
meantime,
it.
we'll settle for some God winks.
I was chatting with super inspiring, sweet woman this past week that had lost her husband recently, only 3 months ago. And she said when she gets little signs, she calls them God winks. I love that. And Aric and I were walking Tuesday night around the lake. We decided we need to go for a walk. It's like a 3-mile walk from our house around this lake in our subdivision and back. And when we got to the lake and started walking around the lake, I'd shared with him, like, my chest is so tight. Like it comes and goes. And when things are super heavy, like you physically feel the stress and the anxiety and the anxiousness and the heaviness of grief, of every life.
Talking about how hard it was without Hallie at that point in time.
And it just, it's back to school pics. It's just this wrestling with are the best days behind us because I'm never going to have Hallie. And so we're walking and talking. And then Aric just stops and he's like, hang on a second. And we had met a lady and I'm not paying attention. Like I'm like barely, I'm focusing on taking deep breaths and I'm focused on taking deep breaths and just walking, and he chases this lady down.
I'm sure she thought I was like coming to get her. Like
I know.
felt
She
bad.
kind of jumped when you came up behind her, which I would have too. And you're like, what's that on your shirt? Is that like your daughter's name? And she just kind of looked at him like, no, it's from Parent Trap. And her shirt had Hallie and Annie on it, which...
And it said, it wasn't clear pictures of the girls from that. It was like figures that were clearly females, but it didn't make it clear it was Parent Trap. But it did say Annie and Hallie. Hallie spelled exactly like our Hallie because
that's the movie I named her off of. Like I watched Parent Trap, the new one with Lindsay Lohan, the newer one, not the old one.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I loved how they said Hallie. I just loved when they would say her name on the movie. I'm like, that's what I want to name Hallie. So it's just like, what? Okay, first of all, I just want to ask the listeners, have you ever seen somebody wear a Parent Trap shirt with the names on it? I have never in my life. What are the odds that we pass this lady? I don't even see it. I don't even pay attention. Aric sees that her shirt says Hallie on it while I'm saying how tight my chest is. It's a God wink.
And then I turn around and find her. That's what it is.
And then you go run her down.
Total God
attack
wink.
her.
Not true. I felt bad. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sure I scared you. But yeah, so that was. It was a nice God wink in that moment. And sometimes we need him. I mean, it's one of those, Jesus, thank you. We need you to show up for us.
Yeah, I need a kick in the butt because, you can forget that you have to trust in God's plan. And it's like I sink whenever I lose sight of that. And it's like you just get these little slaps in the face of like, hello, as I'm pulling strands of hair. I'm losing my hair like crazy. Like I can just like...
Stop pulling it out.
I'm not pulling it out. It's just that much. Just I touch it and it comes out.
Well,
I'm going to be bald.
I'm going to love you bald.
Whew.
It'll be fine.
So...
Stress does crazy things to us. That's for sure.
We thought... Yes, it does. We thought we would share some humor, as I'm sure most of our listeners are parents, and kids are going back to school.
And you know what I said on the radio this week as you started to see the back to school pictures coming out, and you'll see more of them next week on Facebook and all of that is, one, I just want to say thank you to all of the teachers and the professors that we need you teaching our kids. And especially when you find a good teacher, there's a lot of them out there who are making a real difference with kids. You're not paid enough. You don't get enough money for what you do. And finally, just thank you for giving us our lives back so that you can take care of our kids while we enjoy our day again. That's what I said.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
really, it's like, whew, you guys go back to school because mom and dad are over summer and we need a break.
Well, and you need to learn some stuff. I mean,
get back to learning.
95% of the time, I'm so proud of our kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, they're going to make something of themselves and they're doing so good.
And then you're like,
and
wait.
then 5% of the time, you're like, oh God,
what is happening?
are they going to be able to even live on their own?
I don't know sometimes. And I know I'm being harder on Carter right now because he's going to do a senior year of high school. And when he does dumb stuff, I'm like, no, that's got to be fixed right now. I got a year to fix this because then you're on your own and you can't do it that way. It doesn't work. So this is an episode that we thought would be.
We won't mention kids' names.
Yeah, we won't call them out specifically. I'm probably going to have to edit this a bunch because I'm sure I'll say their name accidentally. But we'll just go over some incidents. We thought this could be fun where we go over things that our kids have been doing that we're like, oh God, why? Or why are you doing it that way? And then you may have your own that you can chime in on our social medias or message us, oh, that was good. My kid did this or blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know.
It's literally when you think you really taught them well. And then it's like you see them do something and you're like,
why?
Oh my God, what are you thinking?
Why? And we'll start on the easy one. And it has to do with dishes, right?
It's always
because
a topic in our house.
All parents struggle with your kids and dishes. And I'm very particular. As we've referenced before, Angie's not really even allowed to go around the dishwasher because she can't even put stuff in it properly, right? And she just can't.
That might have been on purpose.
And there's a reason that they actually have the things in there to stack in correct places. That's what they're there for. It's what it's designed for, okay? So, I want the kids, they know when you finish eating, you put your dishes away. And more dishes just start showing up in the sink. And they know that I'm losing my mind, which means it's time for them to go back to school. So I keep hollering at them to get in there, rinse out your stuff. Not only that, but then they just leave the crap sitting in the sink.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, there's just chicken noodle in the sink. Oh, there's ramen in the sink. Oh, there's macaroni in the sink. No, wash it down.
So
run the disposal.
Our kids, for their birthday, it's pretty consistent that they want a cookie cake.
Mm-hmm,
and I'm getting to a point where I despise the cookie cake because
we used to love it.
Sam's Club has this huge cookie cake that's amazing.
It's very good.
It's good. The problem is that it's a big cookie cake, and so there's leftovers, and kids eat on it like for a week. Only they just like to grab a piece of it and then walk around eating it. Or eat it over the sink, and then the sink's full of crumbs. So, this entire week, I've been finding cookie crumbs
everywhere. Or
everywhere.
The icing, and the icing is so staining on your countertop and everything else. So, it's like, what are we doing?
Just hello, you guys have lived with us for how long? You know that you have to clean up after yourselves and rinse out the sink and put your dishes in the
dishwasher. And on top of that, we've asked them, one time last week, I had all 4 of them. 4 kids empty the dishwasher. Oh, my God. We have to empty the dishwasher. There's 4 of you. I didn't ask 1. I didn't ask 2 of you, which would have been more than fine. 1 could have taken bottom. 1 could have taken the top rack. 4 of you. Oh, I did more than that one did. I did more than this kid. Blah, blah, blah. Just empty it till it's done. 4 of you. I can come up with more chores if that's not okay. And then they look at you like, I don't know where that goes. I don't know. I can't put that away. I don't know where it goes. I watched you get it out. Like, where did you get it? I watched you. You made popcorn in that bowl. Put it away. What are we doing? And here you are, into summer. So the frustration is getting higher, right? You're like, oh, God.
Into summer frustration.
What are we doing here? Stop. One of our kids was mowing in the backyard this week. I wasn't home. I got a phone call. That was because you had coached them on calling me.
Yeah, that was funny because I'm working in the kitchen at the island, and said kid comes upstairs and like sneaks something out of a drawer, but just quietly. And I'm like, that's odd. I will say not much gets past me. Like, I feel like I'm pretty intuitive. I'm like, yeah, okay, that one's hiding something. So then Summer comes upstairs and she's like, did you see what said kid got out of the drawer? And I'm like,
we've
no.
eliminated Summer.
Well, you make the boys mow, so.
Yeah.
So she said, well, I was laying out by the pool, and all of a sudden I'm like sleeping and I hear this loud noise and I wake up like, what happened? And then she's like, then I see said kid staring at the hose and the mower, like, and picks up one end of the hose and just stares at it. So we have a pool pump that has a hose hooked to it that drains the water off the pool cover. And that hose is in the yard.
Because we had to drain the cover that day.
Like it's been for the last 2 years when we use the pool pump. So the pool pump, you can see it out and you can see
Very
the hose
big.
connected to it. So I'm like, well, what did he come up here and get? And she said, well, he's trying to fix it with duct tape. And it's a hose that is severed, like it's not even connected. So he comes back upstairs and puts the duct tape back into the drawer. And I'm like, well, hey, what were you doing with that duct tape? Well, I didn't see the hose and I ran over it. Okay. I'm pretty sure you saw the hose. You just thought,
I can run
I don't
over
really
it.
want to stop what I'm doing. Because I did that one time.
I've done that as a young boy.
Yes, I was push mowing and my parents when I was younger, and in the yard was a baseball. And I'm like, I don't really want to stop mowing and pick up that baseball. So I thought, I'll just see what happens when I run over it. And that baseball got hit with the blades and shot out of the mower and went through a window in the house.
It's an amazing shot, actually.
And so, of course, I said the exact same thing. I didn't even see it there. Well, really, I did see it. I just was too lazy to stop and pick it up.
No, I get it.
So then my advice to said kid was, what do you think the right thing to do next is? Call Dad. Yeah, yeah. And here's what I would do. I would not make any excuses. I would just say, I did something stupid and just own up to it. And it's way better.
Yeah, and I didn't yell at him. I told him, I said, you're going to go in half on the new hose. And well, I found one for $25. Yeah, that's a $7,500 hose. So not buying a $25 cheapo.
And the other thing
It's
that
not happening.
he did was you told him that we need to go, we'll go put it in the dumpster and trash can. And he brings it up through the house as long.
Yes, instead of going around the house.
He has it outside, brings it inside, goes upstairs through this kitchen, laundry room, and brings it into the garage.
Time to go back to school.
When school start, let's go.
Because you clearly need more schooling is the problem. Then we made dinner the other night, and it involves a lot of tortillas, Sam's Club. So if you don't have a Sam's Club, it's like Costco, right? You've got this massive thing, probably like 25 tortillas in this bag. And, you can reseal those bags.
Yeah, there's this thing on the end that's like a Ziploc. You reseal it. You
It's
open
amazing.
it, and then you reseal it.
But one kid decided to open it where?
The bottom with not the Ziploc end.
Yeah, and then after realizing it, didn't bother to get new like a big Ziploc out, a gallon Ziploc to move them to for freshness. Just like, I'm just going to roll it up. It'll be fine. No.
How do you not see that?
Not going to be okay.
How do you not look at a package and think, here's the end, I should open it? It's like buying a bag of shredded cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Would you open it from the bottom?
Same.
No.
What are we doing? We have had a couple of kids over the last year with cavity problems. And
Can I just ask, I hope there's a lot of parents out there, but does anybody struggle with getting some of your kids to brush their teeth? Like, why is brushing your teeth such a freaking chore?
do they not taste how awful their mouth tastes in the morning?
I cannot imagine.
Like
Why?
if it was a girl for a boy for a girl, they're gonna, if you're trying to impress someone, they're gonna smell your breath. So we've had it with a couple of kids.
It just doesn't. Yeah, a couple kids like don't love brushing their teeth, or it's like one time a day is fine. No, morning and night. That's what you need to do.
So last winter, one kid did that, had like 10-ish cavities. And when the bill came in, so you're paying a third. I don't know what to tell you. That kid is now brushing their teeth regularly and taking their dental health very seriously. This past week, we had another one that had how many?
5. And so, yeah, I'm like, okay, so that doesn't feel good, does it? And you need to start brushing your teeth twice a day, not just once a day.
Well, at first it wasn't even once a day. That was part of the
it's
problem.
still another like, oh, yeah, I'll brush them later. No, brush your damn teeth. And then I take him to get his cavities filled. We had to do 2 separate visits. And, I mean, then that evening, he's freaking
Not just
eating
eating,
sugar.
all day. I don't think ate anything other than
The
sugar
damn cookie
from the
cake.
time they got out of the dentist the next morning. The next morning woke up eating a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm like, for crying out loud. I said, same thing. If this happens again, you're paying a third. We're not doing this when it's hygiene, and you have to learn because you're not going to live here forever. So you have to learn, because when you get out of here, then those bills are yours fully, not just a third. Brush your teeth. And if you want a girl or a boy to like you, you have to brush your teeth. Nobody wants to kiss somebody with bad breath. Gross.
You know, it's the end of summer when the kids are like, we have no food to eat. And you have a pantry full of food.
Fridge
And
full of
fridge
fruit.
full of food. And unless it says Chick-fil-A on it, they feel like there's nothing to eat.
Yeah, I can think of 3 kids in our home. One of them's fine to eat whatever all the time. And the other one some of the time. But
There's one
but
or
about at
2.
least 3 of them that are like, we're going to talk about, go to Chick-fil-A, go to McDonald's every day. Every day. Can we stop at Casey's? Can we do that?
No.
Stop.
No.
That's where all the money goes, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
come
time-
home and eat.
It's time for those school lunches.
Yeah, get the school lunch. And the after-school snack has to go. That's got to be, here, I brought you some snacks.
You mean,
I mean-
stopping somewhere to get a snack?
Oh, yeah,
after
that's got to
school.
stop.
Yeah.
Because
we're on a budget.
Yeah, we're on a budget. It's got to stop. I mean, kids need guidelines. They need engagement. They need guardrails. And they're going to push buttons and make bad choices. That's what they do. It's why they're not 18. It's why we don't let kids make super decisions until they're 18, or they're not supposed to anyway. They don't always do what you want them to do regularly. And so it just feels like, I feel like for whatever reason, since COVID, it's even worse. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like just since COVID, they make even dumber decisions sometimes, like we're talking about. And you're like, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
It's so hard. It's hard parenting. It's really challenging when you have a blended family because you only have them part of the time, like we've talked about many times. And then on top of that, you layer in parenting's hard, blending and parenting's harder. And then we're also living in extreme grief and loss. And my memory is awful too. Like, just we're in this perfect storm of like, holy shit. And trying to set rules and be consistent in both houses is better, obviously. But sometimes you feel like, God, am I the only one saying no? And sometimes you feel like you're the bad guy because you only have them part of the time. I mean, it's a little whirlwind. So I'm sure if you're a blended family, you totally feel that. Just know you're not alone. And parenting in general is hard.
Tough. I mean,
and you
it's
try
tough.
to decide, when do you drop the hammer? When do you hug them through it? When do you get stern with your discipline?
We've talked about a lot this week. because we've had some disciplinary issues that have needed to be addressed. And as you've heard in the podcast over time, even from season 1 when it was just about blending a family, like a couple months ago when we had JC on and his wife, Ro, I mean, he was the disciplinarian. I was a disciplinarian. Angie has softened me. My kids, all our kids would tell you, I am not as loud. I'm softer. I don't yell at them like I did when I met Angie. When I met Angie, I yelled a lot, and that wasn't good. Like, I needed to be softer, and that's not Angie's style. And so I think what we've talked about a lot the last few days is like we're kind of at a place right now where what makes us good is that we are different. And I think our kids both appreciate that. But I think we are in a little bit of a spot right now where it might be time for me to dough back, for me to be a little bit louder and a little bit more stern on some punishments. And that means I'm going to be the bad guy. Guess what? I'm a dad. I have big shoulders to be the bad guy. And it might be nice for you to be the good guy, where you're not the nagger, right? Where they're like, oh, mom's nagging at me again. No, it's just me being an ass. You can run to mom this time, and she can play good guy. She can play good cop. I'm happy to be the bad cop.
We'd love to have that role.
Well, then let me be bad cop, because I actually thrive in bad cop role. You be good cop, I'll be bad cop. So we were out at the barn tonight with Phoenix. We went out to watch our niece Liza ride. Jesse was out there. But before we were watching Liza, we were getting some lessons from Kitty. She's the trainer on how to handle Phoenix, right?
Yeah. I'm just going to jump in here. Horses, they scare me.
Well, they scared all of us. The three of us tonight kept jumping. This horse is still a colt. It's a baby.
It's a baby. And it was so funny because the trainer was like, we're all three standing outside of the stall. And she's like, why don't you just get in there with her? And right. I'm like, well, I'm just going to let her finish eating because she's scarfing down her food. So she's like, just go in there. The more touches, the better. Okay, so all three of us get in there. And I know Hallie had to be rolling, dying laughing. Because here you have three grown-ass adults getting in this pen with this foal. And we're don't know how to handle her. So she's like, well, just put the halter on her and you can, work on training her a little bit of when to come forward, when to back up. Okay, so she puts it on her and Jesse and I are brushing her and then she's showed us a few things and then she was kind of here's the reins. And we're all looking at each other who's going to take it?
I was like, you do it, Angie. You're a horse. You do it. You do it.
Not the reins. It was a lead rope.
Yeah.
So I'm working on my terminology. And anyway, so I'm like, oh, God, I know I need to be the one that does this. So, God, it's so bad. So she hands it to me. And, basically, I'm scared.
We were all scared. The horse would jump and me and Jesse were we were all jumping around.
So the trainer gets back in there. She's like, okay, you got to have a big bad boss attitude. And she said, it's like having a teenager and they have to think you're a little bit crazy. They have to wonder, oh God, is she serious or is she not? Of course, I turn around and look at Aric and he's like,
That's what I've been saying. You got to let me be. Oh, God, he might really do what he just said.
Yeah.
He might be he may be right, I may be crazy, but it just might be a lunatic you're looking for. Sorry, I like Billy Joel. Turn down the lights, do-do-do-do-do-do. Don't try to save me.
Such a good song. I forgot about that song. The other thing she said was, Phoenix is an 800-pound, I'm going to do whatever I want, and you need to be 150-pound, I'm the boss.
You don't weigh 150.
A little crazy.
You're not. You don't weigh that. I didn't. But yeah, you got to be in charge. So we learned that for a while, and at the same time, me and Angie and Jesse were all still scared crapless most of the time.
I'm like, okay, well, gosh, look at the time. We're about out of time. We got to go. It's just and then Aric and I were talking the way home. It blows my mind because you do have to be large and in charge around horses, and how Hallie at such a young age was never afraid and handled the horses. And they don't behave all the time. You're constantly training them. So it is just like parenting, right? You think you've got them trained. And if you don't stay consistent and stay on top of what you want them to do, then they're gonna buck the system.
Yeah. So it was a fun night.
We're gonna learn a lot
It was
We're
a
going
fun
to
night.
learn a lot, I have a feeling.
Phoenix is doing really good. I mean, even out there, they work with her every day and just tell us about how smart she is, and in a good way. Like, she's not trying to be devious smart. She's a very smart horse. And Angie went out there, not just tonight, you went out there last night too, because it's been a rough couple of days.
I mean, it's always rough. Like,
Right.
we say that. It's like, gosh, this week's been hard. And it's like, yep, no, we pretty much say that every week. But Wednesday, for not really any major reason, I just, by the end of the day, was tanking. And we didn't have kids Wednesday night. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take Hallie's advice and I'm going to go to the barn, because that's where she would go to de-stress and get a new perspective. And ugly cried driving there. Got a little time with Phoenix, talked to the trainer for a little while, who also feels like the devil's attacking her in a lot of ways, and had a little chat, just session to let some stuff out, and just ugly cry coming back. And then it's like, get your big girl pants on and start a new day.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's when I'm the closest to Hallie, and it makes me even more in awe of how she was with horses and that command and control she had over them, and the bravery when there's 3 adults in this pen. Like, oh my God. We all just kind of kept looking at each other like,
I know
holy-
Jessie's listening.
Yeah.
She listens every week. She's going to be like, oh my God, yes. Like, it was, we were all jumping and like, okay, well.
She kick a little bit. We're like, oh God.
What do we do now? It was fun though. And we're going to learn a lot in the process. And so people ask all the time, like, you guys are, or they'll say, like, oh, you guys, I don't know how you're doing it, or you're so strong, or love us to the podcast because you give so much hope. And it's like, I don't know how we're doing it either. I think it's fair. I mean, you've been just mourning the biggest loss of your life for 8.5 months, and everybody else is too. But as we've said, for you as a mother, it's the worst. I'm finally coming to terms with the fact that I have probably hit some sort of depression that I'm not accustomed to being in. I've lied about it for a while, that's not really what's wrong. I'm not depressed. I'm just working through things. But I would say it's probably fair to say that you're not going to argue when I say I am battling some type of depression that's super uncomfortable for me, not normal, and I'm not enjoying it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, it is depressing.
I think as I
How
listen,
could you not be?
I think as we've heard from other people, it seems like the mom was out of the gate. The depression's just there because you're the mom.
Yeah,
And a
you're
lot of times the
instantly in
dads-
the lowest of lows, and there's no. I think for you, you have had to immediately be the rock, like strong men are, right? Like, you're going to take care of the family, and that is what you do. And I think you get to this point of 6-7 months where you realize it's not getting better.
No.
Like, this is our life. And at the same time, I'm in the realization that we've had our best years.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a mom, you go forward without a child, and the whole life you envisioned for everybody, for your family, for your kids, for your child, is gone. You can't fathom ever feeling whole again. And so that for me happened immediately. For you, you've had to be so strong, for all of us, for a long time. And I think, to your point, it takes longer to set in of like, yeah, this is a long, and you can't fix it. I think that's the thing that's probably hard for you, is there's nothing.
Well, you know out of the gate you can't mourn. I mean, because again, this isn't just my story. I've heard it from other dads too.
Yeah.
Like the dad, you don't get to mourn right away because you're trying to support the family and stand up for your wife and be a rock, and then everything kind of hits, and then my mom's been really sick, and I mean, it's just, I'm to a point where it's just a lot.
Hits just
the
keep
hits
coming.
keep coming.
Yeah.
I mean, something's always happening, right? And so it's just like, God. And I'm just at a point where I can't. My body's not working right.
Here's what I want
don't
people
feel-
to know
yeah.
is that when you have such an emotional toll and you've just been drugged through the fire, it messes with your physical body. more than I think people could even imagine until you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
not fun.
It's hard to fathom because you just think like your body only messes up when you have some sort of diagnosis of a
I'm
physical
aware.
issue.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Versus like, no, like this amount of stress can really make your body not function.
Yes. So not fun.
And I think that's also where a lot of the functional medicine comes in to play, because you treat what's actually going on in your body, whether it's mind, health, emotional, all of that stuff, because it can have such a physical impact on your body.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel like we're 80-year-olds right now.
We do. In our 40s, feel like we're 80. Not ideal. So, I mean, life is hard. Hang in there. Parenting part's hard. They go back to school this week or next. I mean, it is. And the journey's hard. And the world that we're in right now is just, it's not the way it's meant to be, as we talk about all the time.
But I think
Jesus.
You can also have all the pain, and you can also find gratitude. And I think if you focus on gratitude, we can even find things in the lowest of lows that we're grateful for. I mean, we talk about it all the time when we have our kids together and we pray what we're grateful for. There's always going to be plenty of suck. And it's like, how do you then focus on the path forward?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's that foundation look like? What can you be grateful for?
Yeah. I mean, that's really it. That's where we're at. Just in the middle of the struggle bus and trying to find some laughter in our kids.
And a year from now, we might be saying that too.
Yeah, it's possible.
Might be
Very
saying
possible.
we're 2 years in and we're struggling because it's
That's what
hard.
I keep hearing from multiple people that have lost a child. It's multiple years. It's not a 1 year and you're feeling better.
Yeah.
You never forget, but the first 2 to 3 years are really, really hard. So with that, we appreciate your prayers. Those are really good. We'd very much appreciate those to continue. And if you want to reach out, we love visiting with you, and we pray for many of you as well. And if there's any school picks that you don't get this week, make your kids redo it, because Angie always says take the pick.
Absolutely.
Take the pick, make them retake it. You're gonna
Post it, because then your memories pop up.
That's where we're at. Hope your kids have a great first week back at school. We appreciate you listening, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.